What if I told you that the greatest dreams die not from a lack of passion, but from an excess of it? We chase inspiration like lightning in the night sky. That electric, burning feeling that makes us start writing a book, launch a business, or wake up at 5 in the morning. But that feeling is a flash, not a flame. It always disappears, leaving you in the dark. And when the passion is gone, we abandon our project and tell ourselves, I just wasn't motivated enough. In the next few minutes, I am going to tell you a story about a young blacksmith and his pursuit of creating the perfect blade. Hidden within this story is the secret to a power that doesn't require inspiration. A force that makes you unbreakable and guarantees you will finish everything you start. The flash and the routine Elias was a gifted blacksmith. He had inherited a small forge from his grandfather, a master whose blades were renowned throughout the kingdom for their strength and balance. But Elias didn't want to forge simple hoes or horseshoes. He was an artist of fire. Elias dreamed of a katana, a sword he would call the flow of stars, a blade with invisible layers, so sharp it could slice silk mid-air, so strong it would yield to no blow. This was his passion. He spent hours drawing sketches and reading ancient treatises, feeling that fiery rush of inspiration. On days like this, he worked tirelessly, lighting the forge and pumping the bellows until sweat streamed into his eyes. But creating perfect steel required more than just inspiration. It required patience. It required repeating the same process for weeks and months, heating, folding, striking, heating again, folding again, striking again, thousands of times. It was at this moment that inspiration would abandon Elias. This is boring, he thought. I'm a genius, not a machine. He would toss the unfinished blanks to cool in the corner, and he himself would cool down too. He'd wait for the next bright, captivating concept, a new, even more perfect blade that would inspire him more intensely. Thus, his workshop became a graveyard of abandoned beginnings.
The next morning, Maya walked to the park to meet her old mentor, Mrs. Patel, a successful businesswoman who lived near the lake. Mrs. Patel, she said, I don't understand. I explain everything clearly, yet people still judge me. I'm not tired from decisions. I'm tired from defending them. Mrs. Patel looked at the calm water and said, Maya, do you see this lake? It's deep, peaceful, and mysterious. No one knows exactly how deep it is. But does the lake explain itself to anyone? Does it justify why it's deep, or why it's quiet? Maya thought for a moment. No, it just is. Exactly, said Mrs. Patel. The lake doesn't shrink itself to make people comfortable. It doesn't explain its depth to prove its worth. It simply exists, and that silence gives it power. She continued, Stop explaining your life to people who never asked for permission to live theirs. Your life doesn't need a defense. It needs to be lived. Then she gave Maya a simple challenge. For the next 7 days, when someone questions your choices, don't explain. Just say, I've made my decision, and move on. Watch what happens. That week felt strange for Maya. On the first day, her aunt called. Maya, I heard you're selling jewelry online, but why not get a proper office job? Maya's old habit rose instantly. She wanted to explain the market research, the profit margins, the customer reviews, but she took a deep breath and said, I've made my decision, Auntie. Her aunt paused. But I've made my decision, Maya repeated gently and changed the subject. The conversation ended quickly. Maya felt strange, but also lighter. On the second day, a colleague asked, Why are you still single? Don't you want to get married? Instead of listing reasons or defending her timeline, Maya simply smiled and said, I'm content where I am. The colleague looked confused. But society? I'm content where I am, Maya repeated calmly. The colleague walked away. Maya noticed something interesting. Without her long explanations, people had nothing to argue with. On the fourth day, her mother asked, "Why did you cut your hair so short? What will people think?" Maya looked in the mirror, smiled, and said, "I like it, Mom." Her mother waited for more, but Maya said nothing else. After a moment, her mother shrugged. "Well, it's your hair." And that was it. No drama, no debate. By the 5th day, something unexpected happened. Maya stopped receiving questions. People began treating her differently. They spoke less about her and more about their own lives. She realized, when she stopped defending, they stopped attacking. Her silence made them uncomfortable, so they moved on. That night, sitting quietly with her grandmother, she whispered, "So this is what inner peace feels like."
1,000 strikes. The next morning, Elias didn't wait for a wave of excitement. He simply walked up to the forge. He established a rule for himself: 3 hours of forging every day before noon, without breaks and without exceptions. Even if he felt depleted, even if he wanted to sleep, he simply showed up. The first few days were torture. His mind screamed, demanding more interesting work. One morning, he spent an entire hour just polishing a tiny section of the blade. The old Elias would have thrown the tool against the wall in a rage. But the new Elias simply put his tools down calmly and said to himself, "I will come back to it tomorrow." Slowly, gradually, in this quiet, daily work, he found a new kind of satisfaction. Not from a flash of an idea, but from the perfection of the process. He began to see the beauty in every hammer blow, in every motion across the anvil. He wasn't just forging a blade. He was forging himself. A month later, when the blade was finished, it was inconspicuous next to his bright, unfinished flows of stars. But it was flawless. It had no air pockets, and its balance was perfect. It was a blade that could save a life. When the warrior returned, he didn't immediately grab the sword. He ran his hand over the edge, closed his eyes, and weighed it in his palm. "This is not just a good blade," he said, his voice deep with respect. "This is a blade in which honor has been invested. Your grandfather would be proud." Elias understood. The work was not about him and his genius, but about the trust he created through his discipline. He learned that greatness is achieved not through loud inspiration, but through quiet, continuous forward motion.